Today on Conversations That Convert, we're going to talk about how to grow sales revenue with supply chain challenges. Let's get started.
Welcome to Conversations That Convert. Every week, we'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes tackling relevant lead generation, marketing, and sales topics for remodelers, home improvement companies, and home builders. Conversations That Convert is brought to you by Builder Lead Converter, your perfect sales assistant. And now, here's Rick and Diana.
Diana, how are
Hello,
you today?
hello. I'm very good, thank you. Better and better. And you?
Good, very good, very good. I see we both have new virtual backgrounds. I mean, this is pretty exciting. You're in some beautiful home. Looks like you just got done
Yes.
playing the piano. I just got done. It looks like waking up to a sunrise over Lake Superior in a cold January morning with that sea smoke behind me. Yeah, this is great. You don't have to look at our messy offices anymore.
Yes, so when you remodel your home, you like to dream.
That's
So
right. I love what you've done at the place for sure.
yes, thank you. It was
Yeah.
a hard work. So
So what are we talking about today?
today is episode 28, and we will talk about how to grow sales revenue with supply chain challenges. So that's a very interesting topic with, I assume, nice counterintuitive challenges.
Well, it is, of course, the topic of the day, been the topic of the year, and it looks like it's going to continue to be the topic for the foreseeable future. Never before have we seen so much demand and have such a challenge at actually producing our products, which are new homes and remodeling projects. So it leads us into lots of different challenges. This is all part of our How to Maximize Your Revenue Per Sale series, which we started last week. Let's just break down that problem, shall we?
Yes, I'm curious what's the main problem here.
So we have a supply chain shortages that adds the amount of time to complete projects, adds the amount of time, or maybe limits the amount of selections we can get because some of them just aren't available or the timeline takes too long to get them. And it really makes it impossible to grow sales revenue by increasing your number of sales. Historically, that's how we always have grown our businesses. We just sell more and we grow that way. And so now we're stuck because we don't have the ability to sell more. So we have to be able to grow our businesses with the same or perhaps less sales than we did the year before.
So when is a problem, there is always a question. So what's the question here?
Yeah. So the main question here is like, how are we going to do this? How do we grow? How do we not stagnate and grow our revenue, our profit margins doing the same or less units? So one of the things I heard from one of my clients years ago was he goes, there's always these guys out there and they want to produce the big numbers. And he goes, but I'd rather make more profit and more revenue and do less units from each job any day of the year versus trying to just do more units, because that with more units comes headaches. So it's a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
It again, but there are challenges.
Yeah, so we have a problem, questions, and when there is a question, there is always an answer. So what's
Yeah, so exactly. The answer today is we want to change your sales and design process. We want to backlog more leads with longer completion times. Now, you already mentioned it a little bit, but we're going to get really counterintuitive today.
okay?
Everything that we thought about this business, we're going to flip it on its head and do the opposite.
So let's go ahead and get started. And I know we have four ideas. And what's the first one?
Yeah, so let's set the stage here, then we'll get into those four ideas. So the idea is that historically in the past, we get a lead. The first thing we do is we say, well, how soon do you want to get started? When do you want to get started? Because we're trying to identify, is this a lead we want to work with? And if somebody said, oh, we're in no hurry, we're 1 or 2 years out, we've been sort of like, okay, next, and we go to somebody that wants to go right away, because those are the exciting ones. We want to get them ready to production and get paid. So we want to flip our thinking from when do you want to get started, we want to flip it to how soon do you want to be enjoying your new home or project. And so we want to focus on the end, so beginning with the end in mind. So this is taking a longer horizon a longer timeline because we really can't start projects right away.
All right. So now we arrive to the first idea.
Yeah, so that ready, willing, enable. Okay, so let's go back to old sales acronym here. I'm looking for a ready, willing, enable lead, somebody that's going to buy right now. And what we're changing that now is that we want to stop targeting those people. If somebody calls me up on the phone right now and says, "Hey, I want to do this project, I want to build this home, we want to get started right away, financing's in place," what we're finding is that these people, first of all, they're not realistic with what stuff costs. They think that because they're ready to go right now, they're a hot commodity, and they typically are really going to be price sensitive. But the second thing we have is that their expectations on their timeline on how long it's going to take to get that done are really out of whack. So what happens is that it leads to cancellations, it leads to unhappy clients, that makes your life miserable. So these folks are really not that desirable right now. If somebody is not willing to delay starting, to delay enjoying their project for a year or more, they're probably not a good candidate right now, and that's the type of person you want to say no to.
And that's a intuitive idea
Completely
for,
counterintuitive, right?
yeah,
I'm a buyer, here's my money, I'm ready to go, and you're going to say, sorry, we can't help you.
that.
Completely counterintuitive. Now, someday we hope to get back to be able to work with people like that, but for right now, it's not realistic.
And it's very hard to apply, I assume.
It's impossible because
It's
literally, it's like I cannot get you started right now. And again, somebody wants to go right now. If you ask them to wait 6+ months in order to get started, you're you're just going to have a lot of bad. There's just going to be a lot of hard feelings. Like I
Yeah,
said, unrealistic expectations. Prices are going to go up dramatically from where they're at right now until 6 months from now, and those folks they're just not going to be a good project for you. So you're going to want to pass on them for right now.
that makes sense. And what's the next idea?
Yeah, so we want to go back instead of targeting ready, willing, and able leads. We want to target leads that are ready or ready and willing. So these folks think that, hey, if I want to have something done a year from now, that's a long time away. But you're thinking that's perfect because I've got a backlog. Then I've got to get your design, engineering, selections done. I got to get you completed. I have time to actually deal with supply chain issues. So these people are perfect. A perfect timeline. So we want to again change our philosophy for looking for that person that is, right now maybe looking at end of 22 into 23. I have one client I talked to right now. He's booked out a year. So anyone he's talking to, it's like, hey, look, if you're not thinking that we can start your project in 2022, uh, that's probably not going to happen. Now we can go through the planning, design, selections. We can get all that done in 22, which is wonderful, and then we'll start your project in 23 and get it completed in 23.
It's a very good idea. And what's the next one?
Yeah. So the next one is we have to add a commitment step. Uh, we don't want to write contracts before probably 60 days before we start, for two reasons. Number one, psychologically, and number two, just because of pricing volatility. Once somebody actually signs a dotted line, right, signs that contract, they're completely 100% emotionally invested and they want to get going now. So to ask that person to sit on their hands for 6 months or more is not a good idea. So we want to avoid writing that contract, and in turn, we want to add another commitment step. So think of it this way: if you're a home builder, you start off with a lot reservation. If you do custom design, maybe you and then ask for a custom design, and then historically you've gone to a purchase agreement or a contract. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go from design to say something like a letter of intent. And the letter of intent, it could ideally it's non-refundable money where that person has a design done. You've been able to give them a budget. Now it's not firm because obviously you can't price anything because you're too far from starting. So you give them a budget and then they'll put down additional money, and that additional money is going to be used to hold a slot in your production process. And that's something we'll start talking about next month, is slot selling and how you need to be using that here this year with the demands that we have on our production departments. So adding that commitment step keeps them in the loop, but they're not expecting firm pricing yet because you don't have a contract. So that buys you time to finish selections, finish engineering, finish design, go ahead and get everything priced, and then you don't have to give them a firm price until 60 days or less from the time of starting.
That's a very sounds like a very practical idea, and a very smart one. So,
Yeah,
and
we,
what
I always used to say, you want, how do I get somebody off the street? Is like once they come in and they're interested in what I have to offer, I want to take them off the street so they're not talking to my competitors. So you look for small commitment steps in order to do your due diligence to get them to the contract. So this is just adding another commitment step, which is still counterintuitive, because if someone's really know why to contract, historically we've always said, okay, stop selling and write the contract. You know, get them while they're hot. And so now essentially what we're doing is we are flipping the script and we're saying, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, we're not going to write a contract yet, but what we can do is we can put you into a letter of commitment, and this is what you're going to get from it, and this is what's required of you, and this is what we'll provide for you for making that commitment.
very smart, very smart.
Yeah, number four is we want to throw away the catalog, and we talked about this a little bit last time, but we want to limit selections to manufacturers with availability. And I know, especially for custom builders and design build remodelers, this has been something like, hey, the whole reason I am custom is so I can do anything. And I understand you want to keep that mentality, but there are some times where you just need to throw away the catalog. You're going to have to guide them into selecting certain products, working with certain manufacturers, certain vendors where you can get materials, and just remove, unfortunately, some of that customization that you love to do for at least the time being. It's something that your clients will appreciate from you, because then at least you can somewhat keep them on schedule, try to keep the surprises to a minimum when you run into a supply chain snag. So limiting selections, while on the outside it looks like, oh, it's a negative, it actually is a big positive for both you and your client.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Okay, so we have the fourth, and now what's next? How can we move
Yeah,
on?
and it's just a reference of from what we talked about last time. We talked about this building a tribe. Two questions to be asking yourself is, what do you want to be known for? And what types of projects should your clients refer to you? So we are in an environment where doing less is more. Cutting out locations, cutting out types of products or projects that you produce that are, say, not the revenue you want to produce, or they are not getting you the profit margins that you want to hit. Just cut those out. And so think of this. Some people use the word branding. We're too small to brand. None of us are ever going to create a brand like a Nike or a Coca-Cola or anything like that. But what we can do is we can build a tribe. So a tribe is simply, here's my group of clients and people that are in my sphere of influence. How do I want them to think of me as far as the type of builder I am, the type of projects that I complete?
It's a very well said. So tribe versus branding, because we all want to build our brand, and you hear a lot about personal branding, and I think it's very well said. It's more like a tribe. What
It
we
it is, and I've heard, you see a lot of marketing people come up and they talk about branding because they read a book about branding. It's like, unless you're an advertising agency and you have corporate clients that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year on quote unquote branding, you're not going to brand yourself. You never are. But what you can do is you can have a tribe is typically 1,000 people. So 1,000 people have done business with you, that are aware of your company or perhaps interested in your services. That's what a tribe is, and that's who you're really going to market to.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I'll
so
take.
Diana, the good news is today is that after the first of the year, even with all this COVID craziness right now, is that we're seeing really good results with reaching out to past clients and getting people booked out, people that have been cold for a year or more. So today, what you can do right now is you can schedule your strategy call with me, find out if you qualify for us to book you up to 20 qualified lead appointments. Zero cost to you, no ad spend, no nothing. We will book 20 appointments for you to show you what we can do for your business. All you got to do is just click that link right below this video here and schedule your call, and we'll see if you qualify.
Yeah, 20 qualified lead appointments. It's a good deal.
It's
So
a good deal. You can't go wrong, right? For $0. So what are we talking about next week?
Next week, how to grow sales revenue without paid ads. And I'm
Ooh, I
so
love
curious
it.
about
My
that.
one of my favorite topics, not
Yes.
advertising and building your business. So for everyone that joins today, thank you so much. Thank you for your comments, your likes. I hope you got something out of this video. For my brothers and sisters in Christ, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all. We will see you next Thursday. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.